Hello, my friends. Welcome to another session of Emotional Café. Here's Xiomara Mayo Ingram, like every week, trying to share those issues, those topics that I know that can help us all to continue growing. And this month, we're going to be talking about happiness. And I wanted the topic for today to be setting boundaries. And you might be wondering why setting boundaries when we're talking about happiness. It's been my professional experience when I'm assisting individuals and families and couples. I have realized how hard it is to set boundaries for others or for ourselves. And I thought it was such a great opportunity when we're talking about happiness because amazingly, and as surprised as you might be right now, setting boundaries is extremely important for us to be happy and to maintain our happiness. So let's define what a boundary is. It's usually something that indicates some sort of limits or bounds. It's what helps us define what is from what is not. And at the same time, if you think about a house, about a property, you don't picture it without any walls or windows or doors. Actually, those walls and those windows and those doors help us know where is the bedroom, where's the bathroom, where's the kitchen, where's the living room, in order to be able to accommodate ourselves in a most suitable way for us. It's the same thing with boundaries in interpersonal relations. It is what helps us determine how others will act around us and how we will act around them. It's a two-way street. That's the way that we can illustrate it. So personal boundaries, when we're talking about personal boundaries, we refer to those guidelines or rules or limits that we as a person create in order to identify reasonable ways to interact with others, for people to act and how we respond and how we act and others respond without us trespassing those limits, without anybody actually being disrespectful to us. And some important considerations that I wanted to share with you about boundaries is the fact that it's one of the hardest things that we get to do ever. And this is kind of general. It's just something that is really deep in us, and by the time we realize, sometimes we are in the middle of a situation and we find ourselves feeling uncomfortable afterwards, and it is usually because something happened there that made us feel upset or uncomfortable, but we didn't set the boundary that we needed to set, and therefore we feel worse after the situation. Also, not being able to set boundaries appropriately has a negative impact directly on our self-esteem, because setting boundaries is an act of love to ourselves. So when we're talking about setting boundaries, I'm not only referring to those that we need to set for others on how to act around us, but also those boundaries that we need to set to ourselves in order to know how we act when it comes to other people. I have been thinking about why it is so hard for us to set boundaries, and I have come to three main reasons that I think are the reasons why we have such a hard time setting them. I think the first one is that maybe we didn't get to learn about boundaries when we were growing up. Maybe they didn't teach us about boundaries. Maybe they didn't have any boundaries for us as kids, but maybe they didn't model us how to set boundaries for others. So the second reason is distortion. We have this idea in our minds that if we are setting boundaries, we're being evil, we're being bad people, we're not being good. And the last one is the fear that we feel on how others will react to the boundaries that we set, that they're going to stop loving us, that maybe they are going to distance themselves, that they're not going to be happy with us, they're not going to call us anymore. So that fear of losing that person's affection also is a main reason for us not to set boundaries. Now, what happens when we don't set these boundaries? You might say, well, Xiomara, I'm better off without it, so I'm just going to keep going. Well, let me tell you that there's two most common emotional responses that we all have when we don't set boundaries. The first one is the absolute submission. We repress what we feel, we don't talk about it, we keep it inside, and we are not happy, we're very upset, but we don't say anything and we don't show it. The other extreme is our aggressive explosion. Out of nowhere, something happens, and there we are, and we're screaming, we're lashing out inappropriately to others, to the point that sometimes people call us out and say, "Hey, what's up with you? Why are you overreacting? What happened?" We've been repressing so much our discomfort and how bad we feel inside that it gets to a point that something else happens and it just makes us aggressively explode and have an outburst. So these are the two most common responses that we have when we don't set boundaries. Now let's think about this. Imagine a property, maybe a house, with no walls, no fence, no windows, no doors. Everything is there. Your bed, your kitchen furniture, your living room furniture, everything there, no separation. But at the same time, you are exposed to rain, to sun, to anybody coming and grabbing any of your belongings and taking them, or any creature or animal to come in the middle of the night and attack you. Can you imagine the chaos? Can you imagine someone living like that? Well, it is exactly the same thing in our relationships when we don't set boundaries. It is as having our life entirely open for people to come in and invade us and tell us what to do and to decide for us and to manipulate us and control our lives. And let me tell you this, everybody has a right to be the main character of their own story. So let's talk about setting boundaries. Let's set boundaries for others and boundaries for ourselves. Now, when I'm talking about others, I have two groups of people that I want to talk about. The first one, those very negative, toxic people that are always whining about life. They're always complaining. They're always talking negative stuff. They don't have anything positive to say. They drain your energy out and they make you feel overwhelmed. You need to set boundaries for those. You need to make them stop. On the other hand, the other group of people that we need to set boundaries for is those great people with very good intentions, but they want to tell you what to do. They want to make the decisions that you are supposed to make. They want to control your life and tell you how to live it. Those well-intentioned people, you need to stop them as well. There are also boundaries that we might have to set maybe in a relationship. If your spouse or significant other talks to you, let's say in a disrespectful tone of voice, then you have to set a boundary and say, "Hey, I don't appreciate when you talk to me like that. It makes me feel upset and I'm not willing to take it." That's a boundary. Maybe to your kids, you have to set boundaries because you're the authority. But here I wanted to refer to a more general interpersonal relationship. That's why I'm talking about those friends that you might have that are very toxic and that are always talking negative, because they take, you can be an optimistic person, but when you're hanging out with these kind of people, you end up going down the hill at the end of the day. So take that into consideration. And again, those well-intentioned people that want to tell you how to live your life. On the other hand, when I'm talking about setting boundaries for ourselves, what do I mean? When we find ourselves trying or wanting to control other people's life, you need to stop yourself. When you're finding ourselves putting all our focus and energy on what others do and don't do, what they're buying, what they're not buying, the places they're going, the kind of things that they're doing, instead of looking at your own life, you got to stop yourself. When we find ourselves poorly managing our time, spending days on social media, neglecting our work because we're on the phone or we're doing something else, and we are not showing good management of our time, we need to stop yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean ourselves. So this is about us. When we find ourselves acting out and behaving insanely, maybe comparing ourselves to others, maybe compulsive with food or with exercises or any kind of unhealthy behavior, we got to stop ourselves. You got to stop yourself. And when we find ourselves doing something that we don't want to do, but we're doing it just to please other people, we need to stop ourselves. That's when you need to stop yourself. That's when you have to exercise boundaries for yourself. Why does it affect us so negatively? not to set boundaries. It affects the way we perceive ourselves. Others won't respect us because we're not showing any respect to ourselves. And we start feeling insane dependencies because we keep expecting others to come and tell us how to act, what to do. And it's kind of like rescue me because I'm not capable. And that's how we start feeling that we're not capable of making good decisions, doing right, doing what we need to do, and we need other people to assist us. We feel very miserable, we feel like puppets, but at the same time, we also feel resentment due to those people because, hey, at the end of the day, we all want to be able to live our lives, and it's up to us how we do it. But feeling like that will make you resent those people that are trying to help you, or that you are allowing them or expecting them to help you. Some simple recommendations that I have for you to help you set boundaries. The first one is that you need to identify in any situation that you feel any discomfort or you feel upset, think about it. Think about the situation and name the emotion that you felt. Put a name to the way you felt. And when you identify those, it is your opportunity to talk to the persons, or maybe it's more than one, but maybe to the person involved in that situation, and let them know in a very assertive way how you felt. You don't have to yell, you don't have to be disrespectful, you don't have to be aggressive, but just express how whatever happened made you feel and how you would really appreciate if it doesn't happen again, because this relationship is important to you, but you don't want to feel like that. So you're still establishing the importance of the relationship and this person in your life, but you're letting them know that that behavior is not acceptable for you, and that will tell them what you expect them to do. Reinforce how important it is to you to maintain a harmonious relationship and how you want to feel their love and respect, and that you understand that maybe you make some choices that they will disagree on the decisions you made or the choices you made. They don't have to agree. You don't expect them to like those choices, but you expect them to respect them. That's what they need to do, to respect them. And then be attentive to your own behavior, because we cannot be expecting others to respect us and we go around disrespecting others. So make sure that you maintain your own boundaries and that you keep an eye on your own actions. Finally, to wrap it up, it is an amazing irony how setting boundaries can be such an important element when it comes to happiness. And it is. You'll be much happier when you are not afraid to set any boundary as needed. You can't stop others from trying to control you, trying to manipulate you, trying to invade you. You can't. But you can stop them when they try. That you can. So keep that in mind. They will always try. And it's okay if they try. Just don't be afraid to set boundaries and make them stop. It is your right to live your life the way you think is best for you. It is your right to learn from your choices, from your mistakes, from your decisions, because at the end, it's your results. You are going to enjoy your results and consequences or suffer your results or consequences. Be loyal to yourself. Be loyal to setting boundaries, because it's an act of love to yourself. And remember that you are responsible to take care of you and protect yourself. No one's going to do it. No one's going to respect you if you don't show respect first towards your own person. And finally, my friends, this month I'm going to be talking about ways to be happier. It's all about happiness, and we are responsible to be happy and maintain our happiness. And again, setting boundaries, it plays an important role when it comes to being happy and maintaining our happiness. I hope to see you next week when I have another topic that will help you continue building your happiness, and I hope you can join me. I'll see you then.